Good afternoon. So it's episode 2 of my cancelled science fiction analysing and watching clips, for want of a better word. So this issue, following on from last week where we looked at enhanced humans, this one is going to be kind of the most common science fiction trope, well, not trope, genre, subgenre, sorry, of sci-fi, and that is space. So in compiling this week's look, I've come up with 10 different shows, and it goes right back to the 60s, although most of these are relatively recent, in the last decade or so. So the first one is a program called Extant that starred Halle Berry. So let's have a look at that one.
What brought this on?
I had a dream.
You dream about Marcus much?
Less and less as I get older.
I still think about him every now and then. How if he were still alive, there would be no us, no Ethan. Without Marcus dying, we may have never even met. Maybe you'd still be with him.
It's different now, with her.
Your mom has to get used to being back home again. She was up there a long time, all by herself. It's gonna take a while for everything to feel normal again, but it will.
I think I need a flip.
Let me see. Yeah, you're right. At the Humanics Project, we recognize that we live in a world of machines that made our lives way more efficient, but in the process, we've removed the all-important element of human connection. The goal of the Humanics Project is to bridge that divide by bringing humanity to the machine.
You're asking us for funding that can unleash thousands, maybe millions of these humanics on the world. What sort of controls and restrictions would you put in place to ensure they behave properly?
Absolutely none.
You were on the Seraphim station for 13 months. A solo mission.
Yes.
You're pregnant.
What? You can't put this in the report.
Molly, this report goes straight to Director Sparks. I can't lie.
I'm not asking you to lie. I'm asking for some time.
Harmon Krieger. He passed away before I came on board. Were you close?
Yeah. He was a good guy. The security and life support systems were back online almost immediately. Ben?
I'm detecting interference from a solar flare.
Attempted to restore.
Ben? The communication system stayed down for approximately 13 hours.
During that 13 hours, did anything else happen? Anything anomalous? Related to the solar flare?
Everything is right there in the log.
It's okay.
How's he doing?
He's ready.
Welcome back, Mr. Yasumoto. We found something of an anomaly on the Seraphim. Another solar flare knocked out the communication system.
Like Krieger.
Yes. But unlike Krieger, we're missing the security camera footage for the 13 hours that followed.
That seems like an unlikely coincidence. This could be everything. Stay close.
John, you have an incoming call from Yasumoto Corp.
Unfortunately, the long-term prospects are too murky for Yasumoto Corporation to invest in at this time. However, as a private citizen, I would not be bound by those same responsibilities.
Ethan.
It was like this when I found it. Your hair looks really pretty.
I don't know what's going on with him, but he is not the same as when I left here. He's changed.
That kid is the closest we're ever gonna get to being parents.
Re-entry can be a challenge after this kind of extended mission, especially if there are spouses and children involved. So, the agency would like us to meet for a few sessions. We didn't have this resource in place for your colleague, Dr. Krieger. The lack of attention to his mental state was a factor in his suicide.
Harmon?
It's me. I'm real. It's not like on the Seraphim. You're not hallucinating. Don't trust them.
Oh.
Anybody.
Right, there you go. So that's the first one. That's extant. So let's just go over to Wikipedia and have a quick look what it says there. So so it says extant premiered on July 9th, 2014, on October 9th, 2014. Oh, sorry. I don't know why they've written that twice. CBS renewed extant for a second season, which premiered in 2015 and concluded on September 9th, 2015. And CBS later cancelled after 2 seasons. So the premise is Molly Woods, which is played by Halle Berry, is an astronaut. She's assigned to a 13-month solo mission aboard a space station, Seraphim. She returns home to her husband John, a robotics engineer who recreated their son, a prototype android. And Molly discovers that she has been mysteriously become pregnant despite years of infertility. She begins to search for answers. So the way I would describe this is it tries to combine both aliens and artificial intelligence, which I think was probably a bad mistake because there's no connection between the two within the program. So obviously her character, Halle Berry's character, she has her android son, and that kind of the idea of androids replacing humans is kind of focused on, but at the same time she's got this mysterious pregnancy from this trip into space. Over the 2 seasons they just jump between the 2 different themes, and as I say, there's no real connection between the 2 apart from the very end of season 2, I think, if I'm misremembering it. But it was really good. It was on Amazon Prime. I'm not sure if it's still on there. It probably is. 2 seasons of 13 episodes, and it's quite good. I quite enjoyed it. Season 2's got Jeffrey Dean Morgan as a new character, and obviously he's normally good in stuff. Anyone that's seen him in things like Walking Dead and Watchmen. So yeah, so let's just quickly see if there's anything else useful. I've tried to briefly look over these this week, just so I know what I'm looking for. Yeah, so it was cancelled. Don't really see why, because it says here the ratings. The series premiered with 11.8 million viewers, which is really high, although it doesn't actually say what the ratings were. Like, oh, actually, here we go. There's the ratings on this. I think that's the ratings on the sides. So that's season 2. So let's look so it was 4.5 million ratings, but that doesn't sound bad. But CBS is a network station, I think I'm right on that. So it's not like a cable station where they can get away with low ratings. But yeah, it's really good. It's worth checking out. In fact, I think they probably could have had this first season self-contained and just one-off story, because they kind of they do kind of tie up stuff. So I certainly recommend that. So let's see what I've got next. So the next one's an unusual one because it's actually a spin-off, and it's actually the spin-off for the modern Battlestar Galactica, and it's Caprica, which only had one season, I think. I'll check in a minute on Wikipedia after we've watched the trailer.
There is truth in the world. There is a right and there is a wrong.
In a city that has everything.
Dad, you can't be late.
I promise. What lines would you cross
Daniel, there's an urgent message regarding Zoe.
Here we go again.
to get back what you've lost?
We'll talk about this later.
When are you going to realize that later is too late?
Two families.
Our daughters, they're gone.
What if they could come back?
One destiny.
Hi, Daddy.
It's an abomination.
Something terrible has happened, hasn't it? It's going to be okay.
From the executive producers of Battlestar Galactica.
We have evidence that links your daughter to the bombers.
Get out.
Comes an all-new drama.
People leave more than footprints as they travel through life. You're not alone.
About love overpowering reason.
Who's to say her soul wasn't copied too?
You're out of your fracking mind.
If you leave now, you'll always wonder.
Our family's gonna survive this.
Caprica.
There you go. That was Caprica. So I've just quickly checked on Wikipedia, which we'll look at in a second. And it was one season. So let's just go over to the browser. So yes, it was one season of 9 episodes. 19 episodes, and it kind of got a couple of minutes, maybe 5 minutes scene at the end where they kind of tried to tie up everything. But basically the premise was this was set about 60 years before the events of the Battlestar Galactica TV series, and it was supposed to show how robots had basically been developed and become essential parts of the society on the planet Caprica, which is where the people of Battlestar Galactica come from. The problem is they should have started it in a period where robots were already around, but instead they actually start it with the development of the robots. Eric Stoltz's character is creator of them. Afternoon, another username taken, so you just joined. So we're just looking at Caprica, which was the spin-off from prequel of Battlestar Galactica. So yeah, so I'll say Eric Stoltz played this kind of scientist, and his daughter dies, and he basically, in a kind of terrorist attack, she's involved in a kind of cult. This cult is, if you've ever seen Battlestar Galactica, they're polytheistic, so they have multiple gods, and the robots, or the Cylons, they believe in a monotheistic, one true god type, and within Caprica they basically focus on this emergence of this one religion with one god. So that's kind of where it goes wrong. It's basically, it focuses a lot on the society of the planet and not enough on the development of the technology that will ultimately lead to Cylons. And I guess that's, I mean, if you think about how it was strange how Battlestar Galactica was really popular, and yet this got cancelled after, one season, and 19 episodes is a bit of an unusual number. So it's as if it was very abruptly cancelled. So it was good, but it was a difficult watch, and I can understand why it would have put people off. Just looking at this paragraph here on the Wikipedia, it says on October 27, 2010, Sci-Fi cancelled the show, citing low ratings and pulling the remaining 5 episodes of the series from its broadcast schedule. So that's pretty bad. So they didn't even show the episodes, and it says the later the remaining episodes were released on DVD. So at the time, I think I would have been downloading it. So I think I remember having to wait quite a while before I was able to see those final episodes. So yeah, it was a shame, but I can kind of understand why people were turned off by it. Especially anyone that watched Battlestar Galactica, which was really good. So let's have a look. What's the next one I've got? So the next one I've got is an unusual one. I'll show you the clip. It's called Ascension, and it was basically a 3-part miniseries. I'll talk about it more once we've shown the clip.
You ever hear of Project Ascension?
The eyes of the world now look into space.
Your father was convinced that the U.S. could launch an interstellar spaceship. I think he did it.
Ascension is about a space program that was launched in 1963.
Totally top secret project. Nobody knew about it. President Kennedy and a man named Abraham Ensman were concerned about the Cold War, so they sent 70 scientists, the best and the brightest, into space for a 100-year journey to Proxima.
The show picks up 50 years into the journey.
It's kind of like a traveling time capsule where they're still playing records, and the films that they've seen are only up to 1963. They've had no contact with Earth.
A lot of people on the ship were born on the ship. They don't know anything else.
Our grandparents screwed us.
They sent us to ensure life would go on no matter what.
They sent us out here to die.
We have a ship the size of the Empire State Building, so you got people up on top smoking cigars and living the life, and those of us that make the ship go and make the ship actually work and stay in space, I don't think we get very much respect.
There's a murder that happens that stirs things up.
The first murder ever committed on Ascension. It's very unsettling for the crew.
This is Captain Denninger. It pains me to report this, but we lost one of our own in a tragic accident last night.
This murder has put everything into a great sense of upheaval.
Everything that I have worked for has come undone in one moment.
The crew members question the entire purpose of this mission.
This isn't about some dead girl. This is about the captain denying the lower deckers a voice.
There's some dissension on Ascension. Some people want to turn the ship around and head back to Earth.
Who are they? We believe the saboteurs have their roots below decks.
Others want to continue forward on this journey.
We are doing the right thing, aren't we? Pushing on.
Of course we are. We're heroes.
While all of that is going on the ship, on Earth, my character, Harris Ensman, is the son of the creator of this project. He's approached by an academic to reveal the truth of Ascension.
If this is real, the world should know.
Do you really think that they could do something like this and no one would know? And Harris reveals himself as if he's unaware of what's going on. But what you begin to find out is he's the guardian of the biggest secret on Earth.
Ascension is set apart from other sci-fi shows in that it's really grounded in the humanity of it all.
Ascension is a true old-school sci-fi show.
This is science fiction.
It's got real social questions about morality and all the issues of the day being examined on the spaceship.
There's a lot of truth to it, and I hope the audience there drawn into it with that knowledge that maybe this could have happened.
You have to watch to see. It's definitely unique. I've never seen anything like it.
We've been called madmen in space. Nobody knows. The Ascension assumptions. You have no idea. Talk to me again after you've seen these episodes and tell me how wrong you were.
Ascension, a 3-night event. Limited commercial premiere, Monday, December 15th at 9, only on Sci-Fi.
Right, so if it wasn't obvious what was going on there, I'll describe it without reading off the wiki, because I watched this not that long ago, well, about 3 years ago, maybe 4. The premise is it's a generation ship that launches in the 1960s in secret. They don't explain, I can't remember, well, they probably do explain, but I can't remember why they say it has to do in secret. I think that maybe they don't meet the public might not be happy with the idea, but basically hundreds of people go on this huge ship, and the idea is they're going to go to Proxima Centauri over like hundreds of years, if you've ever seen any other sort of generation ship concepts. And obviously it's set now, So these people have basically been on this ship for 50 years, and a lot of them have been born on the ship, so they don't really know any difference outside. So there's that whole interesting social aspect to it. It was really interesting, and one of the interesting things is the production. It was billed as a miniseries, so it was originally supposed to be 6 episodes, but it was actually shown over 3 nights. Let's have a quick look at the Wikipedia. So it says Ascension was a 2014 science fiction mystery drama. Not sure why they threw in the murder mystery. I think it's, without revealing what it is, there is a twist in the program, and the murder is something to do with what the twist is. But that's all I'll say, because it's too much of a spoiler. So yeah, the production is weird because when you watch it, it feels like it's certainly open-ended, and it has a big sort of emerging secondary plot coming up at the last few episodes, the end of the last episode. But when you look at how it was changed from 6 episodes to 3 and shown in 1 week. Basically, the rumours are that they didn't have the network didn't have any faith in it, and they basically just want to get rid of it. When you ever see a program get shown in bulk, it's often what they refer to as burning the episodes. They just want to get it out of the way. So I think the production people were a bit disappointed that. I think they kind of believed that it was, even though it was billed as a miniseries, it was going to build up onto continuation of an actual series. So it's definitely worth watching. I'm not sure if it's available on Netflix or Amazon, but I'm sure you could probably find it somewhere if you wanted to watch it. So let's have a look. So the next one. So number 3. Let's have a look. Which are we up to? So the next one is Dark Matter, which is another recent, like 5 years ago program. I'll just show you the clip of that.
What happened?
Who are you?
How did I get on board?
What is this place? You don't remember, do you?
No.
That makes 6 of us. We all woke up just like you. No memories, no idea who we are or how we got here. Looks like we're dead in space.
We're gonna need to check this place out.
How do you know how to fly this thing?
I don't know. I just do. You sure you know how to handle those things? I'm gonna say yes.
What is it?
Blackness.
A big metal door. I remember.
Remember what?
Who stole our memories?
Do you remember why this person wiped our memories?
Because we're dangerous.
Right, there you go. So that was Dark Matter. So this had 3 seasons, and I really enjoyed it. And it got really better as it progressed. So let's have a quick look in Wikipedia. So it says Dark Matter is a Canadian science fiction series created by Joseph Malozzi and Paul Pauly, based on their comic book of the same name. It was actually one issue comic. I actually have read it, and developed by Prodigy Pictures in association with Space Channel. Space Channel, if you don't know, it is the kind of the Canadian equivalent of the Sci-Fi Channel. An order of 13 episodes was placed in the first series, and it premiered on June 12, 2015. Let's say it had 3 seasons of 13 episodes. It got really good, but basically the premise is 6 people wake up in deep freeze on a spaceship. It's set in the far future. It's actually it's set within the human sort of Earth world. Basically not aliens. And they wake up and they've all lost their memories, and they don't know who they are. So what an interesting premise of the program. If you look at the cast list here, each character is called 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, and then there's an android that's called just the ship's AI. So that was quite amusing. So they just say, "What do you want to?" And they say, "I don't know, 1." And even later on, when they actually find out the real names, they still use the names 1 to 6. So it was really good. Another interesting. So obviously it's set in space, and they've got this ship, and they basically travel around and basically do little missions and trade in and that kind of thing. But an interesting thing about the production was it was actually, let's see if I can find what it says here. Basically, it was the highest rated program on the Sci-Fi network, and yet they still cancelled it, which doesn't make any sense until you find out that what had actually happened was the Sci-Fi channel often makes its own TV programs, which basically means they get all the ad revenue, but Dark Matter was actually made by an independent company, which means even though it was getting high ratings, they weren't getting the large cut of the revenue, and because obviously it's taking up airspace, that's a negative for them, and that's why they cancelled it. Unfortunately, it didn't manage to go to another station, which is a real shame. So yeah, I really enjoyed it. It started about within a couple of weeks of another program called Killjoys, and that Killjoys managed to have 5 seasons and had a proper ending. I think out of the 2 shows, I would have preferred Dark Matter to continue because it was getting really the world building was going really well. So that's all I'll say about that one. So the next one is an interesting one because it should on paper have been successful, but it only had 2 seasons, and it is Krypton.
The story of my family is one of triumph and sacrifice. How we led a revolution against tyranny. And now it falls on my shoulders to save my world.
Someone from the future is coming to destroy Krypton. Because where I'm from, your grandson becomes the greatest hero of the universe.
The story of my family isn't about how we died. It's about how we lived.
Our generation was meant to inherit the stars. And now I'm the last. The only surviving member of the House of El.
There you go, so that was Krypton. And obviously, as you can imagine, it's a Superman prequel set on the planet Krypton. And the interesting thing about this is it was, let's just go over to Wikipedia. This was developed by David S. Goyer. So anyone that knows David S. Goyer, he is the writer of the 3 Blade movies, and he directed the 3rd Blade movie, although obviously most people universally say that was a terrible film, and that was his directorial debut. But he also wrote the Man of Steel films, and I think the Man of Steel film, and I think he may have had something to do with the Batman, Christopher Nolan Batman films as well. So like I say, it's set on Krypton, and it's set about 100 years before the end before Krypton is destroyed. So it's Kal-El, aka Superman's grandfather, and it seemed to have been in production for a long time because I kept reading about it being in production long before it ever came to air. But again, it was another show that came on the Sci-Fi Channel. Got incredibly low ratings. I'll see if we can find anything about the ratings. Yeah, look at this. It's even the pilot episode got 1.1 million viewers. So I was amazed it actually got a second season. Look at that. The last episode of season 1 got 0.56 or 560 million. And oh, look at that. That episode had 290,000 viewers. And then the final episode had 350,000. So yeah, really bad. On paper, it should have been successful. Season 2 was actually really a lot better. So I think a lot of people that did watch it in season 1 were turned off because it was complicated plot-wise. But I enjoyed season 1 kind of, but because I'm a bit of a obsessive sci-fi, I'll watch anything. But season 2 was actually really good, and it had Lobo. Anyone that knows the Lobo character from Superman, so that was quite good. I actually included season 2 trailer on that clip, but you never would have noticed it was season 2. But just the first clip was quite short. So yeah, it was on paper they shouldn't have, they should have been able to do something well, but it was overly complicated, and the world building, considering it's set on an alien world, it was just a bit too much of a turn off for most people. So let's have a quick look at the next one. So the next one is Defiance. This is another the Sci-Fi Channel program. Most of these are Sci-Fi Channel programs. So let's have a look at the trailer.
I have no memories of how it started. I was born into the world that came after. For 9 years, the fighting continued with no end in sight. It wasn't exactly Earth anymore.
Is this St. Louis?
Now we call it Defiance.
You're new in town.
How can you tell?
There is an army coming.
You're headed straight for Defiance. A race of killing machines.
Let's get out of here.
There are kids in this town.
I don't care.
Yes, you do care. I know you better than that. I raised you better than that.
What's it gonna be? Pointless bloodshed? Or are we gonna work out our differences together?
You all know what to do.
Fire! This town is worth fighting for.
There you go. So that's Defiance. So this is the only one. Well, sorry, not the only one, but this is another one that's set on Earth, but it features aliens. So the premise is that aliens in their own generation ship from their dying solar system thousands of years ago, they basically looked for a habitable planet, set off on their generation ships. But this is what's quite interesting about generation ships is they weren't able to detect that Earth was inhabited due to the fact that we hadn't developed stuff like radio technology. So they thought we were uninhabited at the time. Was it new by my thumb? That was, so let me just read the Wikipedia. So Defiance came out in, let's have a look. What year did season 1 come out? 2013 season 1, and it ended on season 3 in 2015. Like I say, it had 3 seasons, and I thought they were really good, and it had a lot of good world building. It had basically the premise was it's set about 40 or 50 years in our future. After these aliens turn up, they start terraforming the Earth, which causes massive environmental damage for humans, and radically changes the planet. And these aliens are based on, so they've got like four or five different kind of species that it's basically multiple aliens from within the same solar system that all collectively left their solar system and left. But it was, and then it's how humans have to interact with these aliens who've effectively taken over the world. But it's basically, Defiance is a city, and it's based on, it's from the old the remnants of St. Louis. But it's really good. Let's say it's kind of a Wild West kind of theme, similar to another show that I'll be mentioning in a few minutes. But yeah, it was really good. I wasn't overly disappointed when it ended, because it kind of did try to tie up some of the storyline. I think sometimes you get a heads up from the channel, and they probably wrote a proper ending for it. But it was really good. I say it had 3 seasons, and it would have been like 13 episodes each. Yeah, 13 episodes each. So it was really good, and you should check it out. Casting wise, some of the interesting people the main character is a guy called Grant Bowler. Don't recognise him from anything else. So I think he's a New Zealand actor, but he played like a kind of sheriff type character. The interesting characters is Tony Curran. So anyone that remembers the Doctor Who episode, Vincent and the Doctor, so he plays a very kind of manipulative sort of character, bit like Littlefinger from Game of Thrones, but he's really good. And the character that the actress that plays his wife is Jamie Murray, that people might remember from what's it called? Hustle. So she's done quite well. She's been in a few science fiction programs. She was in Warehouse 13, if anyone remembers Warehouse 13, where she played a kind of female version of H.G. Wells. She was also in Dexter as well, but she's done quite well in sci-fi. Yeah, so it's got a really good cast. It's a very ensemble cast, setting off in this town and all the different people doing different things. But yeah, it's definitely worth one to check out. Who's married to Anthea Turner? Oh, the guy that Grant Bowler. I'm curious now. I'm gonna look that up. Doesn't say that on. Maybe he's got the same name. It's not listed as his spouse. No wonder. Anyway, so what's my next one? Let's have a look. So the next one is another spin-off. Right, here we go. So the next one is Stargate Universe. So let's have a look at the clip.
Eli Wallace?
Whatever you guys think that I did, I swear you got the wrong guy.
We need your help, Eli.
And if I don't?
We'll beam you up to our spaceship.
Yes, that is planet Earth, and yes, you are on a spaceship.
Holy! It's my honor to welcome you to Icarus Space.
Unbelievable.
So, the Stargate can instantly transport you to another planet.
Yes, through an open wormhole.
You really have no idea where this Stargate is going to send you.
No idea at all.
That's a matter of opinion.
We're under attack.
Get out of my way.
I need to get these people out of here.
How will we?
We don't know what's on the other side.
All we have to do is step through.
Where the hell are we? Several billion light years from home.
We are on a ship, but we have no idea where we are in relation to Earth.
We've got a lot of wounded. We need to get home. These people are endangered. This ship is falling apart.
The life support system isn't working properly.
One deep breath and you're dead.
I watched him die.
These are the wrong people.
Make no mistake. We are going to make it home.
People need to know the truth.
You suggest that my judgment is now somehow clouded. Or is it that I'm just plain lying?
It's beautiful.
Let's go! Looks like we entered the Hoth system. Empire Strikes Back.
The road may be longer than many of us hoped. We are going to have to be tough.
There you go, so that was Stargate Universe, which was the second spin-off of Stargate. So, for anyone that doesn't know Stargate, obviously Stargate was a TV series that ran for 10 seasons, had over 200 episodes, based on the 90s movie. So the TV series was incredibly successful, and I watched most of the original Stargate, but I didn't really watch all of the Stargate Atlantis. I saw bits and bobs of it, but then when Stargate Universe came in, I tried to kind of watch it, and it had 2 seasons. So basically, the basic premise is obviously it's a continuation of Stargate and Stargate Atlantis. So Atlantis, I didn't watch a great deal of it. I watched about half of it, I think. But the premise was this: they get transported across the galaxy, and it effectively becomes a Lost in Space, trying to get home, Voyager, Star Trek Voyager type program. But after the basic premise, it just kind of doesn't really make any sense. I can't really remember any main plot threads other than relationships. So everybody was having sex with each other. There's a really weird premise where people can transfer using these stones back to Earth, and somebody visits his wife, so your consciousness goes, and then he basically has a relationship. It's very weird. Does the original movie still hold up? Yeah, I think the original Stargate was really good. It was, obviously it was James Spader and Kurt Russell, wasn't it? As opposed to Richard Dean Anderson and whoever the guy that played his counterpart for James Spader. I forgot his name now. But I watched a lot of the proper Stargate TV series, but then very little of Atlantis. But Universe, I watched all of it, even though it wasn't that good. So yeah, it had 2 seasons. The surprising thing when it started was it had Robert Carlyle, so this was his first move into sort of TV. And after he did Stargate Universe, once it got cancelled, he moved on to Once Upon a Time, which is a program that I watched most of, and he was really good in that. But yeah, I liked the original series. Didn't see most. I probably would have enjoyed Atlantis. It was on at a funny time when I wasn't able to see it. This one, like I say, I watched it all, but it wasn't worth it. So I wouldn't recommend this one. Let's have a look. So what's my next one? The next one is a bit of a cheat because it got cancelled but then came back, but now has just recently been cancelled again. and it is The Expanse.
May I ask you something? Do you miss Earth? Endless blue skies. And open water all the way to the horizon.
The hell was she doing way out here?
I have something for you. For the lost daughter case. I need someone discreet.
Say no more. Julie Mao discovered something that would tip the balance of power. Someone will do anything to keep it quiet.
Some kind of game being played here. If you really do want to stop it, then let's go.
You want to be careful how far you take this. Earth is over. This is something new.
Yeah, so this is a very interesting program. Like I say, it got cancelled after 3 seasons on the Sci-Fi Channel, then got picked up by Amazon Prime because Jeff Bezos was a massive fan, and it's had another. Well, it's having a 6th season. It's finished its 5th season back in beginning of this year. Season 6 though has been billed as the last one. I agree with you, Ionic Arm. It's really hard to get going because the world building is so complex. So the basic premise is it's set about 200 to 300 years in the future, but unlike Star Trek, we haven't got faster than light travel. So we've basically colonized our own solar system. So Mars has basically got people that colonized Mars, but about 100 years before the show starts, they basically had they had a war of independence, similar to like the United States having a war of independence, and they're now like a planet of their own and refer to themselves as Martians. So obviously the Martians, but they're not alien green Martians. But then there's a third faction which are called Belters, and the space exploration as the asteroid belt is being mined, but people who live there are kind of treated like kind of second or even third class citizens, and they basically are fighting for rights and things, and they have their own culture and they've got their own accent. So on that clip you may have spotted Thomas Jane, that's been in various things, such as he was in one of the Punisher movies, and I think he was in one of the Fog adaptations. So it's based on books, but the books are actually so the TV show is actually produced by the authors of the book. So the books are written by someone called James S.A. Corey, but it's actually a pen name for 2 different people, and apparently they just take turns writing each chapter. Bit of an interesting story is it was originally set out to be a massive what do they call them? The games, like World of Warcraft, and they basically, one of them spent years planning this computer game, and then it never went anywhere, and he basically just used all this sort of world building to make the characters in a book, and there's potentially going to be 9 books, but each season is one of the books, so obviously they'll finish on season 6 on the 6th book, but as I say, you've got the 3 factions. The main characters are a mix of humans, Belters, and Martian. I think there's just one Martian on the ship, and they just get into all these sort of political conflicts, and there's a murder mystery that Thomas Jane's character has to solve on a space station. I say, I similar to how Ionic Arm said he couldn't get through the pilot, I watched about 2 or 3 episodes on the first season and then gave up because I didn't understand what was going on. And then by the time season 2 aired, there was lots of online chatter about how this was now the greatest science fiction TV series ever made. and that's what people are still saying now, even after its 5th season. But it's one of those things I would say, once you get to about episode 5, I think, in season 1, that's when you start to understand everything kind of comes together. So it's worth it. I had the same feeling with Breaking Bad. I watched Breaking Bad season 1 and then gave up on season 2, and then about 3 years later everybody was talking about it, so I went back. So think of it like that. It's worth the effort to go back. So I say the weird thing is it got cancelled after season 3 for similar reasons to Dark Matter that I mentioned earlier. They just weren't making enough money out of it, even though it was popular. But luckily Bezos finally did something good and actually had it move over to Amazon Prime. So you can see it. I think all of it's on Amazon Prime if you've got Prime. So definitely check it out. It is really good and worth watching. So let's see, what's the next one I've got? Right, so this is this is probably one of the most. The next two, there's 2 left on my list, and they're both the most famous sci-fi shows set in space that have been cancelled. So it probably won't be too difficult to guess what they are. But the first one is Firefly.
The Alliance said they were going to waltz through Serenity Valley, and we choked them with those words. We've done the impossible, and that makes us mighty. Just a little while longer, our angels are going to be soaring overhead, raining fire on those arrogant gods. So you hold! You hold! Go!
What were you in the war? A big war you failed to win. You're a sergeant, yeah? Sergeant Malcolm Reynolds. Balls and Bayonets Brigade. Big, tough veteran. Now you got yourself a ship and you're a captain. Only I think you're still a sergeant, see? Still a soldier. Man of honor in a den of thieves.
I do the job. And then I get paid. Go run your little world. No matter how long the arm of the Alliance might get, we'll just get ourselves a little further. Small crew, they must feel the need to be free, take jobs as they come.
She still has the advantage over us.
Everyone always does. That's what makes us special. Tell you, Zoe, we get a mechanic, get her up and running again, hire a good pilot, live like real people. You never have to be under the heel of nobody ever again.
You ever sailed in a Firefly?
No.
I mostly keep to myself, and I'm not Corey. Because what this marriage needs is one more shouting match.
No, what this marriage needs is one less husband.
Big son of the world wash? Got us some crime to be done.
Mal, this is Simon. You seem so young to be a doctor.
Simon Tam, we're bound by law to stand down.
This is my sister. The government was playing with her brain. I don't know if she'll be all right. I don't know what they did to her.
I get confused.
Or why. I just have to keep her safe. We're looking for a girl. This girl.
I think she's a reader.
Psychic?
Can't be controlled. Can't be trusted. Everyone could just go on without me and not have to worry. I'll be your bounty, Jubal, and I'll just fade away.
Now! What is it that makes you so afraid of the Alliance?
Is that why you let us stay? So you could use us as bargaining chips? They're not taking her and you are not giving her to them. We lose this ground, we lose it all. You're going to hold this ground.
You turn on any of my crew, you turn on me.
power of the verse can stop me.
We're still flying.
That's not much.
It's enough.
A trade? Hell, it's theft. This is the best damn gun made by man. It has extreme sentimental value. It's miles more worthy than what you got.
What I got? She has a name.
So does this. I call it Vera.
Grr, arg.
Yeah, so there you go. That's Firefly, arguably the most famous cancelled science fiction program with having one season. You didn't like it, another username taken. Wow. So most people like it, but I guess not. Everything's not for the same everyone. But the interesting thing I'll tell you about when I first watched this was I watched the film Serenity first before I actually saw the TV series, and that was because the film came out and I'd never got around to actually seeing the TV series. So I went to the cinema watching it, and it kind of works independently, the plot wise, although it's kind of a bit open ended. And then of course I then watched the TV series, bought it on DVD, and I had to kind of backfill everything I'd seen of the characters from the film. I did read that they were offered a second season or a film, and Joss Whedon decided to do the film. I'm not 100% sure if that's true, but as you said, Neil, it's highly unlikely now that Joss Whedon has been cancelled, rightly so from everything I've read about him. That is not likely. It's not like, unless somebody can resurrect it with somebody else involved. But yeah, it was great, and I've seen other shows that kind of touched on similar themes, like Killjoys that I talked about before. When that started, I thought that had a potential to kind of inherit the mantle of Firefly, but it wasn't to be. The plot was a bit different. So yeah, so there's not a great deal more worth saying about this. It's famous for having been cancelled because Fox kind of moved around, didn't understand what kind of slot to put it in, and basically if you start moving around the schedule, people are going to not be able to pick up and see it. But it was a good comment you said there, Neil, about if it had continued, what kind of developments would it have done. There was a lot of really good world building. I the other day when I was putting this list together, I read about the backstory of within the world that they are, which they're in a solar system, so they are the descendants of a generation ship that came from Earth, but it's like hundreds of years ago, and they don't really talk. It's so long ago they don't really talk about Earth anymore. I think they refer to it as Earth that was, and they explicitly state that there's no faster than light travel. So they're supposed to be in one solar system, although the physics doesn't actually match with that because they've got multiple suns, and obviously you don't. Well, even though you can have binary star systems, they've got like a sun per planet within the same solar system. It obviously doesn't make sense. But obviously that's because the writers obviously are not physicists. But it's still great, and obviously the idea of them like kind of pirates and sort of smuggling and everything, and it's obviously 14 episodes, obviously with the great Nathan Fallon. There was a long many years ago, probably not long after Firefly, there was a big campaign to get him to be the Green Lantern, to be Hal Jordan. Although he has played Hal Jordan in animated versions. But yeah, I was very disappointed when Castle came on because it was the first kind of show to star Nathan Fallon, and then I didn't really like it. I think I watched like the first half dozen episodes and then didn't like it, even though it became massively popular. So Firefly, definitely famous for cancelled sci-fi, but it's not the most famous one because the next one on the list is the most famous cancelled science fiction show of all time, and that is Star Trek.
Space. For final frontier. These are the voyages of the Starship Enterprise. Its 5-year mission: to explore strange new worlds, to seek out new life and new civilizations, to boldly go where no man has gone before.
Enough talk, let's get on with it.
I push these impulse engines too hard, they'll blow apart. I am a logical man.
Why don't you tell me I'm an attractive young lady?
Are you insane? I'm a doctor, not a bricklayer.
You're a healer. There's a patient.
Live long and prosper.
There are things you can do with a lady.
Beam me up, Mr. Spock.
There you go, the most famous science fiction series of all time, cancelled after 3 seasons. Of course, it's a bit of a given the legacy of Star Trek. I certainly watched all of the original series that funky DVD trailer showed us there. But I obviously, like a lot of people my age, was really into the Next Generation, which, kind of 87, 88 sort of period. I was kind of still in high school at the time, and then later in the 90s when Sky One used to show it every single day of the week, and I was at college at the time and I used to watch it. It used to be on like I think they used to show 2 episodes back to back or something stupid, between 5 and 7, and then it was like The Simpsons for an hour as well. But at that same period, not only was that on, then Deep Space Nine, which I absolutely love, started, and then Voyager, which I can watch Voyager, but it was no Deep Space Nine. So obviously, I always find it funny to think of the original Star Trek as something being cancelled when its legacy is still with us, even with Star Trek Discovery now, and now Picard as well. But of course, it is famous for being cancelled. I was just looking at the Wikipedia. Really, obviously, been in the 60s. The season 1 had 29 episodes, 26 for season 2, and then 24. So obviously, quite long seasons back then. So it aired between September 66 and April 67 for season 1, and then the final episode aired June 3rd, 1969. But yeah, and obviously they didn't do anything. Well, they did the animated series, which is on Netflix, but I still never really. I think I've seen a few episodes when I was younger, but I really need to get around to watching that because I've heard it's actually quite good. Because a lot of the original cast, including Shatner and Leonard Nimoy, do the voices. So yeah, it's definitely got its legacy, and Gene Roddenberry obviously has similar issues. People talk about him in the same way that people are now talking about Joss Whedon. He'd definitely be cancelled for certain things. So yeah, it's couldn't really do this stream about cancelled sci-fi without with space being the theme, without including Star Trek. So hope everyone's enjoyed today. Like I said, there was 10 different shows there. There's probably ones that have been cancelled that I've probably not thought of, but these are all things that I know quite well. Yeah, it was a good the last week or two that I've been putting this list together. It was quite interesting, and it got a lot longer than I originally planned. So last week I only did 4 shows, and then I showed Daryl at the end, the clip of Daryl. But space is such the staple of sci-fi, isn't it? What am I doing next week? Next week I'm going to do supernatural type shows, but I won't be including the show Supernatural because it had 15 seasons and over 300 episodes. So there'll be various kind of one that I'll mention that I'll be covering on that issue is the Constantine TV series, because John Constantine is my favourite comic book character, having read all 300 issues of Hellblazer. So that'll be on there, and some other shows with a supernatural leaning to. So I think I shall now try and finish off by doing a raid. So let's see if I can do that. I think Roll Sorts is probably still on. So goodbye to everyone who's joined me. Thanks a lot, I appreciate it. Let's have a look. And can't find him. French. No, I can't find him. Is he still on? Can't find him. Strange. What am I doing wrong? Is he still on? Does anyone know? He's not on. Okay. Anyway, I shall leave it there, and I'll see everyone in other streams. So laters, and thanks for being with me.